Don't you hate wrestling with predictability? The garbage man, the sexy boy, boring ass TV? How did I get to work in here? Somebody tell me, please. The WWF is confusing to me. With Vince as mean as you've ever seen. I told old Patterson I'm done here in June. When a sudden voice inside me whispered, Vinny, don't sell your dream so soon. And everywhere I look, there's a Ted with a hand to hold on to. And everywhere I look, there's a place and a promotion who needs you. And it's there you'll book when you're lost out there and you're all alone. And WCW's waiting to carry you home. It's there you'll book. And it's there I'll book. A doobity-ba-ba-ba, headed to Atlanta and listen to this podcast. It's all right, even though it fucking makes fun of everything I've ever done. Backbone Wrestling Network. Come join us. It's a new year. It's the same podcast, though. I'm Scott Shufflett, joined as always, my partner in crime, Logan Crossland. Logan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, and I think the best question to ask in the new year is, do we have the juice? Do we have the juice to get through this episode? So we'll just have to see about that.
Oh, Logan, we will have the juice tonight as maybe the best commentator ever. I know you were messaging me. It was like, this is the worst episode I've ever seen. Everything sucks. And I'm watching it and I'm like, this is the greatest episode of Thunder I've ever watched. It's a real duality of man right there, where like Logan's like, I'm always worried Logan's going to quit the podcast. But past couple of ones, Logan's been like, I hate everything. Russo sucks. And I'm like, there's some good things here and there. Russo does suck. But like we talked about this last episode, Logan, like there's some pieces that you could see were going to be in place for the year 2000 and literally get snuffed away within 3 or 4 weeks. So
it's going to change a lot in the next like 5 or 6 episodes, I would say. Like, you know, even the next 3, I would say, you know, with Bret and all that. So we'll see where we go from there. But yeah,
and it really sucks. Like, I'm really frustrated. Because like it's like what could have been. Like, I know you were too young, you're only a couple years younger than me, but I grew up watching WCW. Like I told this one episode 1, like if WCW is still around, like I would probably be watching that more than WWF. I try to get into AEW, but it's a little too serious for me sometimes. It's not wacky like WCW is. And TNA was just too stupid. But like WCW was just like a thing in time where it had all my wrestlers that I liked and everything, and you know, it felt like a Southern promotion, and, you know, I'm from Virginia, which technically is the South. Giving hairs there, but yeah, barely. But no, just WCW felt like, and like watching this, I'm like, damn, like some of this stuff is entertaining. Now, some of it sucks. I will say outright that it sucks. Rhonda Singh, surprisingly, has made her 3rd or 4th appearance here. I'm shocked. We saw maybe a live firing tonight, Logan. I don't know. We'll get to that. But yeah, it's just like, damn, they had so much like potential, and they lose 5 of your upper card wrestlers. It just in main eventers, like because they were pushing to him as main event, and but also like stuff what Russo does, he churns through storylines so quick. Like that's the thing. Like before we get started on the show, we're on our 17th episode. 1 through like 14, filthy animals were all over the show.
And now they don't even
Now we
exist.
haven't even seen them. Yeah, they don't even exist anymore. Tori Wilson has left the company. Spoiler alert, will be back. But like Eddie's
done.
Made his last. Eddie's done. Conan, I guess, is still selling from Revolution. Ray legit blew out his knee. Billy Kidman, don't know where the fuck he's at. So it's like they're done. Buff Bagwell has just been relegated to Thunder, which me and you are not complaining about, but he's pushed all over Lee's. And it just feels like he went through 6 months of storylines literally in not even 2 months, Logan, because we're on the December 9th, 99 edition of Thunder.
Yep. It's absurd for sure. Yeah. Like you said, the filthy animals are all over those early episodes. And yeah, like, I don't know if Kidman's out because he's kind of showing some, like allegiance to Tori and Tori kind of being in a contract dispute. I don't know if that's what's going on but yeah, Eddie's made his last appearance like we talked about previously. And yeah, Conan must be somewhat hurt from a previous injury or something like that. Or I think he was kind of injured towards the end of the run there. And then, like you said, Ray's out with an actual injury. But yeah, it's definitely changed a lot since we started. And like you said, the last Nitro was pretty solid. It still had its warts. And this Thunder was better because they actually used some talent, upper card talent, like they said they would. So they actually pulled through on something that they said on Nitro. So that's always good. But yeah, this one definitely has its stinky parts, I'll say.
Oh, most definitely. And let's kick us off. We're on the 12/9/1999 Thunder, where they tell us multiple times we're 10 days away from Starrcade. Starrcade, I think, might set the record for most gimmick matches, Logan, but we'll get to that for Starrcade. Just Mike Tenay welcomes us in to Thunder. They're in Madison, Wisconsin. Tenay reiterates. Sorry. He reiterates. I was trying to create a word there, Logan. My apologies.
It happens.
And I just laughed because Tim Capel's voice in my head, that laugh fucking popped in there for me messing up another word. Susan will love this. He says, new era rules of PTB. Powers that be, that Thunder will be made special again. He said the A-Team is here tonight, which is like, good job shitting on the rest of your crew, everyone. He's like, Bret Hart is here. Goldberg's here. The Outsiders are here. He said, Sid Vicious. We got DDP versus Sting tonight. Lex versus Buff. And then right on cue, out comes Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. Hall has the ladder with him. I guess Hall got tired of carrying the ladder himself, as halfway down the aisle, he yells at Nash to help him carry the ladder. Nash kind of looks legit pissed off that he's like helping Nash carry the ladder.
It counts as a bump.
Someone here had... He probably charged like WCW 5K for that. Someone has a sign that says the Bears suck. They suck in 1999. They suck in 2025. Not much has changed, even though I do have hope for Caleb Williams. We'll see how this ages in the next couple of years, Logan. But Hall sets up the ladder. He climbs the ladder, and Nash hands him a mic. Hall says, "Hey, yo," and shouts out Benoit. Hall says Benoit is pretty good, and he wants to make a name to get a pay raise. Hall's like, I don't hate that. And then Hall says Benoit couldn't handle him in a regular match. He won't be able to handle him in the match he created. Hall tells Benoit to go to Blockbuster and rank WWF's greatest matches, and he will see him versus the Heartbreak Kid. Hall said he made enough money on that match to pay for his first house. Hall said, "You are pretty good, but you aren't making more money than me," which I thought was a pretty good line. Hall then hands the mic to Nash. Nash says, "Yeah, there's a lot of guys walking around with big chips on their shoulder." He says one of them is Sid. Nash says, "This ain't some video game. You ain't the master of the power bomb." Nash says he's the only badass around here. Nash said all these people know it and you know it. Nash says he will powerbomb Sid straight to hell. out comes Sid, which Logan, I think this is a dub, but I love the dub for Sid's music. It's just gets me hype. But Sid says "Hey yo" for some reason, which made me laugh. Sid says Nash's days of holding him down with political stroke is over. Sid says I have done everything that's been asked of me. Ask him of me. He doesn't even say asked of me. He says ask him of me. When the clock strikes, it'll be my time. Sid says Kev has stabbed me in the back, so Kev could be the man. Sid says at Starrcade, we'll find out who is the man. Nash responds with why is Vader booked? Pop me. Sid says no, wise ass, it'll be me. Sid rushes the ring, and I've never seen someone look as awkward when they run as Sid. I think it's because he's so damn big, Logan.
Yeah.
Like, he runs awkward. It's just like, I don't know. It's like he shouldn't be running. But Sid rushes the ring and Nash in a fight.
Player, I would say.
Fuck no. He was definitely the person when we played softball, Logan. He would hit the ball and make the person run to first for him, right?
Yeah. Sounds like about right, because like you said, yeah, he definitely runs a little weird. Probably has quite a few surgeries on those knees.
It's like a gazelle running or something. It just looks so unnatural. I know gazelles are natural, but he looks so unnatural running. Mm-hmm. Sid pushes the ladder over, and Scott Hall bangs his neck on the on the ring rope, on the top rope. Sid goes to powerbomb Nash, but Scott then hits Sid with the ladder. Nash then gets Sid in position to powerbomb him, and Dustin Rhodes runs in and starts beating down the outsiders. This brings out Jeff Jarrett, who runs in and he hits Dustin with the guitar. That's guitar shot number 1. This brings out Chris Benoit, who starts beating down Hall. Hall actually Irish whips Benoit into a ladder, and like Hall and Jarrett both beat down Benoit with the ladder, which was crazy. And it just ends after that. They all like go to the back. We see Tenay is by himself at the announce desk. Tenay reminds us that Larry Z lost his job on Nitro when the ref reversed the decision due to the instant replay, which they just let the powers that be use for themselves. He announces 2 title matches tonight. The first one is Bret Hart and Goldberg versus Creative Control. And the second, Logan, is the Thunder main event of Evan Courageous versus Ronda Singh for the Cruiserweight title. This brings out your favorite Medusa. She's yelling at Tenay about Ronda Singh having the title match. Medusa says Ronda hasn't been a Cruiserweight since birth. So I guess, Roddy Piper couldn't call her fat, but Medusa can. Medusa says no one is getting a title over her dead body. She looks at Tenay and tries to like show off her tits and says, does her body look dead? Tenay says no. Medusa walks away. Tenay then says once again that DDP versus Sting and Luger versus Buff. And we got the debut of the artist formerly known as Prince Iaukea tonight. We then hear Juvy's music. Juvy and Psychosis come out, so I guess they're keeping Juvy and Psychosis together, Logan, which I like that pairing. Juvy says, finally, the juice has come back to Milwaukee there in Madison, so the crowd boos him. Juvy joins Tenay on commentary. Juvy says he wants to hear the millions and millions of Juvy's fans chant his name. Juvy says he is the new play-by-play announcer. Tenay is kind of pissed. We go backstage and see Goldberg entering the arena. And then we see Bret Hart lacing up his boots. And we go to our first commercial break of the night. Logan, so much happened there in that first segment. We got Dustin Rhodes being added to like this main event babyface thing, which I don't really hate. I know he was dealing with his demons then and was out of shape, but Dustin Rhodes, besides his relic, not his relic, as basically
Black
Silver
Rain.
Dust in TNA. What was it? Black Rain. Yes, yeah. Thank you. Basically Silver Dust. With that stupid, we have a rat in the cage.
I think he did. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, with the stupid rat in the cage.
Despite all his
that's
rage.
when he only looked. Yeah. He doesn't look out of place here, being with Benoit and Sid versus those 3. So, what do you think of all that? And what of our new play-by-play announcer that we may have for the night or for the rest of the Thunders going forward?
Yeah, I low-key kind of thought he was just going to do the first match or something like that when he came out. Just it seemed like he was just going to, they've had these like run-in commentators for weeks now, even to the point where it made Larry like walk away during some of them because it was like Oklahoma and he was being obnoxious and stuff. But yeah, when he came out, I honestly assumed he would probably do like the next match and then go away, but we will see that that's not the case. But yeah, no, adding Dustin kind of into this main event kind of scene. Obviously, he's going to be facing Jarrett at Starrcade, so yeah, I mean, we haven't really seen Dustin wrestle. He's been in a lot of segments, obviously attacking Jarrett a lot to, kind of set up that match at Starrcade. So, yeah, it's cool to see him kind of get thrown in there with those guys. And then obviously it's just a long way to get to a main event 6-man that they're going to have later on tonight. So just kind of combining some pay-per-view matches, but that's never a bad thing to kind of set up a match. Or you set up your big match in that first segment, and it didn't go too terribly long, so it wasn't like a 20-minute Triple H segment on a 2003 Raw that's like the worst thing you've ever seen. So, yeah, solid opening for sure.
Yeah, Logan is currently reliving that 2003 nightmarish hellscape on the Ruthlessly Aggressive pod here on the Backline Wrestling feed every other Tuesday. So coming back on the commercial break, we see highlights of last Monday. If you want the highlights last Monday, listen to the previous episode, which I was like, oh, thank goodness, Logan. I was literally hitting the skip button the whole time they did like the 3-minute recap, which was nice. We then see Dustin, Chris Benoit, and Sid looking for the powers that be, looking for their dressing room. We go back to the ring. The Revolution comes out, and Juvy is going to be, I guess they're kind of shooty comments, but it was making me laugh. So the Revolution comes out. Juvy says the Revolution are old and ugly. We see highlights of Revolution beating down Midnight and then Jim Duggan. Shane gets on the mic and says, cut the music. Juvy says he's always says the same. You got to change, man. And then Shane says, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, you want to challenge the Revolution and play a game called Russian Roulette. Shane says, at Starrcade, if you and your 3 jabroni friends can beat the Revolution, they take over the Revolution will take over the janitor job for 30 days. If the Revolution wins, then Jim Duggan has to denounce America. Shane then says, shut up again, and Juvy says they were already quiet. Which fucking just killed me. So Shane says, I got the mic, I got all night. Crowd and Juvy actually boo him on this. Like Juvy's booing him through his headset. And Shane says, when Jim Duggan loses, he must renounce citizenship. Shane says, does it look like we clean toilets for a living? The fans cheer that they do. Shane says he has a $25,000 watch. Juvy says he bought it on the subway. Shane says, we will take no prisoners. Dean gets on the mic and says, we are the few, we are the proud, the revolution. Dean says a picture, says 1,000 words. He holds up a picture of humanity, of Penzer, and says, it's useless humanity, which I was like, Penzer's like, what the fuck did I do? Perry then grabs the mic and says, divided we stand, united you fall. They're all looking at him like, what the fuck? Out comes Booker T and Stevie Ray for match 1, which is Dean Malenko versus Booker T. Booker T charges the ring. They trade off punches. Booker misses a clothesline and then enables to hit Dean with a punch. Dean hits an axe kick. Dean and Booker both try hip tosses, but both are reversed, and then Booker just clotheslines Dean. Dean gets up and throws Booker outside the ring. Perry starts attacking Booker T, but Stevie Ray then attacks Perry, and they actually fight to the back. This will actually be an ongoing segment of the night. Booker T is back in the ring, and Dean comes off the top. Booker T catches him and hits a nice spine buster. Booker T then hits a back body drop. Booker goes for the axe kick, but is held up on the ropes because Dean missed it out of the way, so he's dangling on the ropes. Shane leaves commentary and hits Booker with his cast. Juvy is now saying, where did she go? And Tenay says he. Juvy says he looks like a chick. So he's just burying fucking Shane Douglas this whole time. Dean Douglas. Shane must have just pissed in Juvy's Wheaties or something because it's just all been just shitting on him. The ref's back in the ring, and Dean puts on the Texas Cloverleaf, and Booker is out. The ref calls for the bell. Juvy is saying that wasn't fair. Out comes Jim Duggan, and the Revolution bails. Juvy screams, ho, literally the whole time Jim Duggan is walking from, comes on the entrance ramp till he gets in the ring. He's just screaming, ho! It's just amazing. Then we go to the back and we see Sid go up to Creative Control. They said they don't allow them in. Sid, Chris Benoit, Dustin Rhodes start beating up Creative Control. Shane and LaParca then come in, and they're all fighting, and it's all 7 fighting. And Kurt goes to the powers that be and says, "You guys are getting their ass kicked." Powers that be says, "Why aren't you fighting out there?" And Kurt says, "Tell you what's going on," and then leads us to another commercial break. Juvy is worth all this, Logan. I know these are just for us, these comments, but today trying to keep him on track. Juvy just shitting on Shane Douglas the whole time, screaming "ho" from the whole time that Jim Duggan's walking in the ring. And then we got the powers that be guys just being completely useless, which this is the weirdest little mini faction of all time, Logan. You have Kurt Hennig, Shane, who's Vincent, LaParca, and Creative Control as the tag team. If I played WWE 2K for 20 years, I don't think they would even create a faction like that.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. I had a faction get put together on a video game like that one time, and it was like the Undertaker and the Legion of Doom or something like that. It was the most random pairing of people ever. But that's definitely a creative faction, and just the scraps of the rest of the roster when you put all the other people together or whatever. But yeah, the brawling outside the powers that be offices was really good. I like seeing Creative Control get their kind of ass beat by the main event team of Benoit, Rhodes, and Sid. Yeah, and the Revolution, come out and cut the promo. I thought it was weird that they showed more highlights from Nitro after they had just shown highlights of Nitro. So that was a little bit annoying.
I don't get it either.
I guess it specifically showed what they did, so I guess I somewhat get that, but still kind of a questionable tactic. But the match between Booker and Malenko, it didn't really ever get a chance to get going, just based on the fact that it didn't last very long. And like you said, Perry pretty much immediately takes Stevie away from a ringside, so it puts Booker at a disadvantage just for the fact that Shane and Asia are still both out there. And obviously Shane gets involved and cracks him with the cast, letting Malenko get the cloverleaf in, and obviously Booker's passed out. But yeah, not a bad match, but didn't really get a chance to really do much just because it didn't last very long. But yeah, not a bad few segments there back to back. And like you said, Juvy was on his shit for sure.
He really was. It's just so good. Definitely feels like Revolution, after getting their ass beat by the Filthy Animals, RIP, for literally weeks. I know they won the war, but now they're feuding with Duggan and whoever they bring in, which I remember from reading it in a magazine who they bring in. I'm interested to see how Duggan does that. We only got 2 shows left. But it's just what the hell's going on? It seems like they've been de-emphasized as well, even though they're all over the place. And Shane Douglas cast has turned into Bob Orton's cast with how long it seems like he's had it on. I'm surprised he didn't take some time off, Logan, but he's still here. So, I know it's a legit injury from what I've read, but yeah, it just crazy.
It's a perpetually broken arm, no matter what.
Yeah. The man was always hurt at the tail end of his run-in when they discussed it on Extreme Three-Way Dance, found every other Thursday on the No-So feed. Towards the end of his run, he was always perpetually hurt. But we come back from the break and we see Sid, Dustin, and Chris. They're talking to the powers that be. Sid screams, "We want the outsiders to do it tonight!" Powers that be says, "You got it." Then out comes the artist formerly known as Prince Iaukea doing a Prince knockoff. Juvy doesn't know who it is until Prince Iaukea steps out. And Juvy goes, "Oh, it's Prince Iaukea." Says it's a great gimmick for the worst wrestler in the company.
Yeah, somebody must have gotten his ear and told him to just shit on everything. Russo must have just told him to be honest about everything that you see out there, whether it's good or not.
Yeah, or it's hey, we don't have someone like Vince McMahon screaming into your ear what you're supposed to say. And the artist formerly known as Prince Iaukea, he has a valet with him by the name of Paisley, which, Logan, we've already seen Paisley before. She was a Nitro girl named Storm. Storm and Paisley, of course, is Sharmell, a.k.a. Queen Sharmell, married to Booker T. King Booker. But it's weird that they're already just pulling her off the Nitro Girl line because that feud's still just sort of ongoing. Like, I know we saw them playing strip poker and they were making fun of Spice, but seems like they're doing she's obviously doing this with them, and there's no mention of her, who she used to be. Just says she's Paisley. Juvy says Prince has no talent. Juvy also says Prince looks like a word that you could say a little bit more liberally in 1999, but not now. Just go watch it on the network. Out comes Vampiro with Jerry Only. Juvy says, great, another jabroni, talking about Vampiro. Juvy says, I hate this guy. He's copying my moves. Juvy says he's the original, the sexy one, which I just love, like, because we've all heard how Vampiro's a prick. Like, him and Conan famously hate each other. It seems like everyone hates Vampiro.
Yeah, I don't think he's a super likable guy, and I think he would probably tell you that.
Yeah. So we see highlights of Oklahoma and Dr. Death versus Jerry Only and Vampiro from Nitro. Once again, why are we still seeing more Nitro highlights? So this brings out Oklahoma. Juvy screams Oklahoma's in the house, and he says, show me some juice. Oklahoma says, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm here to save the show. He gets on commentary. While this is happening, we don't really pay that much attention to the match. Prince shoulder blocks Vampiro. Then, for some reason, Jerry Only is now on commentary, too. Only reason I know that is because Oklahoma was calling him Alfalfa, and Juvy was, like, completely lost during the segment. Vampiro hits Prince with 2 kicks and then Irish whips Prince over the top rope. Then we see Roddy Piper sadly showing up. Vampiro throws Prince in the guardrail and then throws him back in the ring. Vampiro goes for a Hurricane Rana and Prince power bombs him, which I thought was pretty nice. Oklahoma says, oh, this little girl's been caught my eye. And he tries to hit on Paisley, kisses her on the cheek, and she kicks him in the nuts. Prince tries a monkey flip, and Vampiro actually lands on his feet, which I thought was really sweet. Then Vampiro just kills him with a super kick. And it's over, Logan. That's it. 1, 2, 3. So we'll talk about the end of the rest of the match, and then I'll get your thoughts. So after the match, Prince beats up Oklahoma after the match. This brings out Dr. Death, and he beats down Prince. Juvy's cheering on Dr. Death to beat down Prince as well, and Oklahoma gets some kicks in. That brings it into it. So I love how they hyped up, I talk about debuting the artist formerly known as Prince Iakea, and he gets his ass kicked not once but 3 times in this. Once is by Oklahoma. It's just like, oh, so we're not supposed to care about this guy already. Very good. Yeah. Very good. Nothing match. Like, most of the match was just people bickering on commentary, and they panned away to show Roddy showing up. It was just nothing, which, to be honest, I really didn't want to see much of their match. So there we go.
Yeah, not a good way to debut a talent. It's kind of weird that they just kind of throw him out here on a random Thunder, like 2 weeks before Starrcade. You would have thought that maybe would have saved him for after Starrcade happened, and maybe him show up on a Nitro. But obviously they don't have too many plans for him because he obviously loses and then gets his ass kicked after the match. I once covered a show that I think it was probably Super Bowl 2000 on Chicken Salad, but the write-up for that show had it typed up as TAFCAPI, which is the acronym for the artist formerly. So I will probably call him TAFCAPI at some point. So because that's what I wrote in my notes for the match. But yeah, I mean, Oklahoma comes out, does some commentary just a little bit, and obviously they don't give a shit about this match because Piper shows up and they show him getting out of the limo mid-match. But yeah, I thought the spot where Vampiro kind of landed on his feet out of the monkey flip was pretty awesome, and then he obviously nails that thrust kick to win the match. So I thought the finish to the match was pretty cool, but yeah, pretty nothing other than that. Obviously, they don't care too much about it because, like I said, they went to a person arriving at the building in the middle of it. And then, yeah, like you said, Dr. Death beats the absolute shit out of old TAFCAPI after the match. So obviously not too much plans for him going forward from here.
Yeah, and it was so smooth, like with the monkey flip to like he turns around and just kills him with the super kick. Like that was like the most athletic thing I think I've ever seen Vampiro do. And I saw that man get lit on fire. So, which doesn't take any athletic ability. But that's on Lucha Underground every other Thursday here on the on the Backbone Wrestling Network. So then we see the Powers of B and Mona, and Powers of B says there's room for one wrestler in this company and fires Mona. This would be okay if we didn't immediately see Rhonda Singh show up, Logan, and we already know Medusa's here. So Powers of B just are morons. But Mona asks for a second chance, and Powers of B says in life there is no second chance, so she just walks away. And then in walks Rhonda Singh, and she says tonight she will be the first female cruiserweights champ. She says she has a better plan. She whispers something in the Powers of B ear, and he goes, "That may kill ratings." She said, "Or make them," which is like great. So then we see Piper and Nick Patrick talking backstage. Nick Patrick is pissed that he has to ref Luger's match. But then Piper finds out that a memo got sent out that the ref's decision is final per the Powers that be. Piper then says if Luger looks at Nick Patrick the wrong way, then just disqualify him, or if he's missing a tooth, then disqualify him. Just a weird segment, but it comes in handy. It's setting up for something later tonight. Then we see Stevie Ray and Perry Saturn still fighting backstage. We go to a commercial break. We got Bret Hart and Goldberg with Mean Gene. He says they will face each other at Starrcade, but tonight they fight for the tag titles. Bret says tonight they are united together and they will excellently execute creative control. Goldberg says they are next. Logan, anything you want to add about the Rhonda Singh thing, the Piper and Nick Patrick, and then this Goldberg and Bret just generic 1980s babyface promo?
Yeah, that felt like straight out of like a Saturday Night's Main Event, like pre-taped little thing with the little graphics in the background. Just say your little catchphrase and talk about your opponent for just a little bit. But yeah, very, very forced on that interview. Good to see the brawl continuing between Perry and Stevie. They get pretty creative with this throughout the night. I think this is the one where he like throws him into the garage door, and it sounds like it really fucking hurts. Yeah, I think it's a terrible idea to get rid of your like most talented female wrestler in Mona. So yeah, just great idea there, Russo. And then yeah, Rhonda Singh. You know, I can't say I've ever really watched much of her matches outside of the Bertha Faye run, but I can't imagine she was ever very good. But yeah, let's make her possibly the cruiserweight champion. Let's see what that's all about. And then Piper obviously gets a plan hatched in his head when he talks to Nick Patrick a little bit, that we'll kind of see throughout the night as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Fuck Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
So this leads to match 3, which I thought was going to be Evan Courageous versus Rhonda Singh for the cruiserweight title. It's changed to Medusa versus Rhonda Singh in a regular match. Juvy calls Bret the excellence of execution and Goldberg the excellent killing machine, which is just amazing. We then see highlights of last Monday with the Mona match. Medusa comes down. Evan joins on commentary, and Juvy asks him what's he doing. Evan says he's here to see all the hot women in the ring. Juvy says, yeah, that's all you can get, which I thought was great. Juvy says, I can get better things than that, talking about the women in the ring. Match starts. Rhonda grabs Medusa's hair and throws her on the ground. Rhonda hits Medusa basically with like a boob bump. She just runs at her full, and it's like a belly and boob bump. Medusa tries the sunset flip, and Rhonda then sits on her. Evan says some corny lines about Medusa, and they're so bad. Juvy says, did you read them in a book? Juvy says you have no skill, you have no talent, you only have the belt because you got lucky. God damn. Rhonda tries to splash from the middle rope and Medusa moves. Medusa calls out to Evan. And then Evan gets on the ring, but Medusa's able to hit a missile dropkick times 3 missile dropkicks on Rhonda Singh, which were pretty nice. Then Medusa decides she's going to start making out with Evan while Rhonda's on the ground. Rhonda then runs to hit a boob bump on Medusa, but it hits Evan because Medusa moved. The Medusa rolls up Rhonda for the win. Juvy then says they have no talent and they got lucky. Rhonda then gets on the mic and says, hit the music. She starts to they're playing like stripper music. And they start to dance seductively, and Juvy screams, oh, yes. Lights start blinking, and you hear static, and you can see someone clothesline Rhonda Singh. I guess it's Bray Wyatt. So, yeah, that brings an end to that. Logan, Juvy, just the MVP of tonight, right? just dumping on these fools. Like, make fun of Evan for being a cornball pussy. Just amazing.
Yeah, Juvy definitely brought it more than pretty much anybody else tonight. So definitely MVP, without a doubt. I thought Medusa actually showed a good bit of fire at the beginning of this. She's still terrible, but I thought she actually tried to pull some stuff out at the beginning of this one more than she usually does. This is a SummerSlam 1995 rematch, by the way, happening here on this Thunder. So we should feel honored that we were going to get the Easter Classic. No Harvey Whipple in this time though, but I do love seeing Ronda absolutely bulldozes Evan at one point right before she gets pinned, I believe. But I did love seeing her absolutely blitz him. And then you talked about the strip tease that happened afterwards, and whoever lays her out pretty quickly runs away. I think it was Uncle Howdy. So we'll see what that's all about. I'm assuming that's going to be an ongoing gimmick.
Or you're like me and just assume you'll never see it ever again.
That's also possible. Also definitely possible.
Yeah. So we go backstage. David Flair's with Mean Gene. We see highlights of David attacking Jerry Flynn at the block match. We're told tonight it's Jerry versus David in the block tonight. We then see Piper saying how he gets the final say, and he says, powers to be, can't be that stupid. Piper keeps saying, final say, final say, final say. We have a commercial break. We come back. Stevie Ray and Perry Saturn are still fighting. I think this is the one where Stevie Ray had Perry in the surge can and was throwing him around. We got match 4. Jerry Flynn versus David Flair in the block. We see David Flair walking to the block, and Jerry Flynn sees him. And then we're in the block, and we see Buzzkill in the block, and Buzzkill tells both to rechange their aggression. David Flair hits Buzzkill with the crowbar, which I liked. And then Jerry starts beating down David. Juvy just saying over and over, oh, poor David, as he's getting his ass beat. Tink Abbott then shows up and punches Jerry and knocks him out and calls him a martial arts moron. And that's how that ends. We see Creative Control walking with the ref to the ring. Juvy says they are stooges. I don't like them. Then we see Bret walking backstage, and we go to commercial break. So, Logan, Juvy awesome yet again. Tank Abbott shows up, so maybe we're going to get martial arts versus UFC feud with him calling him a martial arts moron.
Yeah. That could be interesting. But yeah, again, another random debut on a Thunder. I don't know that I would have chosen this or the block to be the point where I bring in Tank Abbott, but it does give this no pun intended, but it does give this episode of Thunder a little juice. But yeah,
the juice is loose, baby.
Yeah. But yeah, the continued Perry and Stevie brawling was good again, and then obviously we see that Creative Control might have old slick old Greasy P in their bag to help them maybe in their tag match that's coming up.
Yeah, it's just fuck Creative Control. Fuck this ref that looks like he has different color contact lenses in. He looks disgusting. So this leads us to match 5, which is Creative Control versus Bret Hart and Goldberg for the tag team title. Creative Control comes out, and then Bret Hart comes out, and then Goldberg comes out. Juvy says this is confusing for me before the match starts. He tells Creative Control to be careful after calling them stooges. So the match starts, and I originally had put down, Logan, that Bret starts with Creative Control number 1. He had his shirt untucked, and then the other one untucked their shirt. So I just got real confused again.
Well, it doesn't last very long, so you don't have to worry about it.
I know, but I was trying to figure out, and Tanae even asked him, which one's Pat and which one's Gerald, and Juvy's like, hell if I know. So we get a collar and elbow tie up. Then Bret gets a wrist lock. He starts punching Creative Control number 1. Creative Control number 1 then clotheslines Bret. Creative Control 1 tags to Creative Control 2, and he tags, and then he does a move and he tags back to Creative Control 1. They hit a double elbow. He gets a 2 off flat. The ref's counting quick. Roddy's Piper music hits. He runs down. Bret gets a close on Creative Control 1. Juvy says, this is confusing. It's confusing me too, brother. Piper hits the ref and throws him out of the ring. All 4 are now fighting. Goldberg hits a nice spinning neck breaker and then hits spears on both creative control members. Bret puts one of the creative control members in a sharpshooter, and Goldberg hits the jackhammer. Juvy says this is great. Piper counts 3. We have new tag champs. Juvy says this is unbelievable. Juvy says this is going to be a tough tag team to beat. Piper holds up Goldberg's hand. Bret gets on the mic and says, coming in the Starcade, Bill, we both know what's at stake. There's going to be one man that walks out of Starcade. Bret says, let the best man win. We go backstage to Shane, Kurt, and LaParca. Powers of B says he wants Kurt to get Piper right now. Kurt says Shane to get Piper, and Shane's about to tell LaParca to get it. And Kurt's like, no, you go get him, which I thought was great. So, yeah, that was a nothing match, Logan. But, you know, we got tag team champs. I think this makes Bret a Grand Slam champion in WCW because he won the TV title and the US title. And the same for Goldberg, did not win the TV title, but that they stopped doing that. So he's technically, I think he might technically be a Grand Slam champ at WCW as well. But yeah,
he's at least a Triple Crown champion, if nothing else.
Yeah, so he's Triple Crown champion, which I kind of forgot that this title reign had happened for Bill and Bret for this their tag title reign. I doubt it lasts long. They probably lose it literally by next episode or next Nitro or Thunder. So, yeah, but we got another title change, Logan. So that's where we're at. What'd you think of everything of like Shane being just like the worst flunky ever?
I do love that Kurt is trying to get out of doing anything, no matter what. He is trying to do the least he can possibly do for the powers that be, but also still be in their good graces. Yeah, the match wasn't anything. You know, Piper immediately comes out and makes it kind of a farce. Obviously, it's just going to be Bret and Goldberg just destroying them. But we have new champs, and you know, Bret again cuts kind of a respect promo after the match, which, you know, obviously knowing how he feels about Goldberg these days.
What we know now.
Yeah, I was like, what we know now. It's kind of weird and kind of insane that he's like so respectful towards Goldberg at this point. It's just very, very weird.
Yeah, it's it's
almost uncomfortable, like, actually.
Kurt's like me, senior. Yeah, it really is. Like they like each other and everything. But Kurt's like me, senior year of high school and college, Logan. Like I just don't want to do shit. I'm sending people off to do my stuff. So then we see Stevie Ray and Perry Saturn fighting, still in the back. They make their way to the ring. Stevie Ray throws Perry Saturn in the ring, and the match starts. So we have match 6. Stevie Ray with Perry Saturn. Stevie throws Perry in the ring. He then throws him into the corner, and Stevie Ray clotheslines Perry into the corner, and he throws him to the other corner, but he eats a boot on a charge. Perry then hits a 6 T-bone suplex, which is pretty impressive because Stevie Ray is a big boy. Perry then hits an atomic drop and hits a springboard drop kick. He gets 2. Stevie Ray then hits a press slam and an elbow on Perry. Stevie Ray throws Perry in the turnbuckle. The ref stops Stevie Ray from throwing open hand punches. This allows Perry to get on the advantage, start punching Stevie. The ref tries to break them up, but Perry does behind the back like kicking the nuts to the ref. The ref's down. Stevie Ray's then able to Irish whip Perry and hits a big boot. Creative Control comes in and beats down Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray then rolls up. Perry Saturn rolls up Stevie Ray with Perry's foot on the ropes, and he wins. Creative Control beats down Stevie Ray after the match. Booker T comes down and clears the ring. This leads us to a commercial break. Logan, it sucks that they did this like ongoing segment the whole night of them fighting, and then we have a 3-minute match, which doesn't even end cleanly. Like, it's just so stupid. And it makes me wonder if the tag match is still going to happen. That was for the tag titles, which was Kurt and Creative Control versus Midnight and Harlem Heat. So we'll have to see if that's still going to happen because there's no mention of it, but we see a bunch of like Harlem Heat, Creative Control battling each other tonight. So it's interesting to see if that happens.
Yeah, I think
then we have Piper.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry. No, you're good.
No, I was going with the thing. So
yeah, I think they kind of throw away mention it at some point later on that the match will still go on, but it obviously might not be for the titles at this point. But I do think Tenay somewhat mentions it later.
Yeah, I must have missed it. I mean, there's so much shit happening here, guys. We'll get to it later. Logan gave me the number, and it definitely wins the most for Thunder. So we go to a commercial break, and Piper's backstage with Powers That Be, and he says things are coming together. Powers That Be says, "You ripped those titles off my boys." Piper said, "You said ref's decision was final." Powers That Be says, "What I say is final." Says, "You do not come into the office and raise." And Powers That Be says, "You don't come into this office and raise your voice." Then he goes to crack his knuckles, and Piper catches LaParker about to hit him. He says, "What are you doing with your Halloween costume?" and makes him sit like a dog on the chair. Piper says, "If you ever come behind me with a chair again, and Pete Powers B says, "Piper, I don't know what you're on," which it feels like he was definitely on something. The way he's fucking yelling and talking like a fucking lunatic, worse than usual. Powers B says, "Next time will be my final decision." He threatens him that he'll never work again if he doesn't listen to him. Piper was just insane in that segment. Like, totally made LaParca look like a bitch. I mean, like, I felt Russo was probably maybe shooting a little bit when he was like, "Hey, I don't know what you're on, but you need to fucking calm down." Sort of like how your parents would be and you started acting wild when you were younger. Probably not you, Logan. You're probably the golden child, but I got that talk a lot.
I tried to be. But yeah, I mean, Piper is his insane usual self. So I mean, just he needs to be off the screen as quickly as possible. They need to drop whatever this is supposed to be, because he's got turn the channel heat for me at this point. He just his stick just doesn't work at this point anymore. And then
1000%, Logan.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Actually, I think he's had go away heat with me since that horrible segment in March of '97 where he was like auditioning his own people for that uncensored match
with Luther Reigns, Cole.
Yes, Luther Reigns, John Tenta, some boxing guy, whoever the fuck he was. Yeah. So we have Mean Gene with Sting and Liz. Gene asks Sting about his match with DDP. Sting calls him Diamond Dallas trash. It's not his problem tonight. Sting says Liz has a stamp of approval. Not going to lie, the Diamond Dallas trash line was kind of corny. Do better, Sting. But, what can you do when you got Russo writing this shit? This brings us to match 7, Logan. The Total Package versus Buff. Total Package comes out looking sad because he's still missing Liz. When Buff comes out, Hoobie asks who Buff Bagwell is, which made me laugh. Hoobie says that the Total Package looks better without Elizabeth. As when Buff gets to the ring, DDP comes out. Hoobie says, "This is a surprise for me." Hoobie says, "I think DDP is mad." DDP tells him to shut up. Hoobie goes, "I told you he's mad." So dumb. It's so dumb, but it's so good. The match starts and Buff poses. We get a collar and elbow tie up. DDP says, "I feel like I shoot my own angle." That's like the only thing he says. And today's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Buff hits a shoulder block and then poses. Buff tries a wrist lock, but Lex fights out and knocks down Buff and then stomps him. Luger misses a clothesline and Buff hits 2 power slams and then he hits a neck breaker. Lex rolls out of the ring to stave off Buff. Buff is posing. Buff follows Lex out of the ring, and then they get to the announce table, and Buff makes a beeline right for DDP, and they start fighting. They fight around the announce table. Tenay and Hoobie's like, "What the fuck is going on?" Lex actually comes over and tries to break them up, and then you see the road agents coming to break it up, and they cut to a wide shot, and Hoobie's like, "This is real. What's going on?" And it's very odd, Logan. And I guess I remember reading this. People thought DDP was trying to do a shoot angle with Buff here, so I guess this is what they were trying to do. I guess to make it seem like anything's crazy because he had that weird shoot promo on Nitro about going to the WWF and said he was staying and everything. It's just very odd. And they did act like it was real. They cut to the wide shot, like what you see when people streak at football games and stuff. And it made me laugh with Hoobie was like, "What the fuck's going on?" He didn't say fuck, of course. It was like, "What's going on?" And the announcers, and I don't know. It just, we'll have to see if more comes of that. I'm not sure if it does, but it just seemed very odd. Makes me think it's an angle because it gets brought up later tonight. But we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, the whole thing was weird for sure. DDP just on commentary being real sullen and not really, saying much or anything like that was definitely strange. And then Buff just like randomly going after DDP and trying to attack him was, I felt like it seemed kind of out of nowhere. So, this whole thing was definitely weird. And Lex just kind of ends up being like a background character. So, kind of strange based on how he's been presented this whole time.
Yeah, and like Buff, who was getting this huge push, hasn't been on Nitro, barely used on Thunder, and then this weird thing happens. It's odd. So Duggan's backstage at the Powers of Be office. Powers of Be ask him who gave him approval to wrestle. Before Duggan can speak, the Powers of Be says, "What about all the toilets?" Duggan says, "This is about America." Powers of Be clear the room, and Powers of Be says to Duggan, "Do you think America and these people care about you?" He said, "They're the ones who stopped buying tickets to see you perform. No one buys your phone 2x4s. He said, "It's almost 2000. This country stands up for three things: me, myself, and I." Duggan says he believes in people in this country. Powers to Be says, "Reality, these people, these Americans you stand up for, can care less if you are dead or alive." It's like, God damn, that's pretty mean, man.
Fucking brutal.
Fuck. Right?
And
this brings us to match 8.
Cancer.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's odd.
Fucked up for sure.
Yeah, so this brings us to match 8, which is Asia versus Jim Duggan, which I had no idea this was happening. So Asia's out with all members of Revolution. Juvy is strangely silent here. When Duggan comes out, Juvy screams "ho" again, and he goes, "People love it." He goes, "I'm Mexican and I love it." The ref kicks Revolution out of the ring. As we see Revolution going backstage, they pass creative control, Loparca and Shane and Kurt. They go after Duggan and beat him down. They keep kicking him in the kidney, which I think is an added touch. Great for heel heat, but the announcers never bring it up, Logan. The Revolution comes back down. They have hot dogs, mustard, and apple pie, things that say America. They spray mustard all over him, put hot dogs all over his like janitorial uniform. They smush the pie over him. Perry's eating the pie on the turnbuckle, which I thought was funny while Dean and Shane are doing all this. I guess Booker T and Stevie Ray were taking collective shits because they decided to finally come down with 2x4s before Shane can start running his mouth on the promo and chases everyone off and tends to Jim Duggan. So Logan, that was just a nothing match. Just very nothing.
Yeah, poor Duggan just gets fucking, 8 people beating his ass during this because all of the powers that be people come out. The Revolution kick his ass, cover him in mustard, smash apple pie in his face. I did enjoy Perry just sitting on the top rope eating the pie the whole time. He's doing it at one point, and Dean looks over at him like, "The fuck are you doing? Why are you eating the pie?" But yeah, they cover him in mustard and all that shit. And yeah, Harlem Heat must have been getting some massages of some sort during this segment, because then they were like, "Oh shit, we got to go help Duggan." But yeah, just absolutely absurd whole thing.
Yeah, it's just bad. We see Sting and Liz walking backstage. We go to commercial break. As Logan said, we have 12 minutes left and we have 3 matches left. This is within the 12 minutes, guys. So we see Benoit, Sid, and Dustin. Mean Gene talks about the 3 of them fighting, Jarrett and the Outsiders tonight. They all threaten the 3 in their different ways. Sid's my favorite. He says their next of kin will have a hard time identifying their remains after tonight. Spoiler alert, that's not what happens at all. This brings us to match 9. DDP comes down first. They talk about whatever happened with DDP and Buff tonight. They're like, what the hell is that about? Sting comes out next. Collar and elbow tie-up. Sting hits 2 clotheslines, and then hits a Stinger splash. Sting puts on the Scorpion, and DDP makes the ropes. I legit thought that was the end of the match, Logan. Like, I thought, like, it bit. I was like, damn, this is Squash City. But DDP gets a shoulder to get Sting's gut. They trade punches. DDP goes to clothesline Sting, and he ducks. Guess what, Logan? DDP clotheslines the ref. Luger runs down and attacks Sting with the bat. We get a bell ringing for no reason. I thought the match was over. DDP then picks up Sting and hits the diamond cutter. The ref then counts 3 and it's over. Literally, it took me longer to explain what happened in this match than the match actually happened. Just a total clusterfuck. Like, there's no reason to have this match on if you're not going to do anything.
Yeah, this was completely pointless. I think this is probably the point where I texted you that this was a horrible episode of television. Because this one just
It went downhill real quick.
Yeah, I think this one pissed me off pretty bad when I watched it regularly, because this should be a big deal. And I know it being on a Thunder, it probably isn't going to be anyways, but it could at least be treated properly. But yeah, just another farce, just another ref knockdown leading to, the heel, or the seemingly heel, winning, because I don't really think they've tried to really presented DDP as a face or a heel since he came back. I think he was kind of a heel when he left, but that they haven't really said where his allegiance is, but he kind of gets a sneaky win here. So, but yeah, just a waste of time, and it's sad to have such a like a primetime kind of matchup be wasted like that.
It's shades of gray, bro. It's shades of gray.
It's shades of brown, meaning it's shit.
Very true, sir. Very true. The Thunder started off so good and they went off the deep end very quickly. Well, not good, but like enjoyable. Then we see the 3 baby faces, Dustin, Sid, and Benoit, walking backstage. We see Outsiders and Jarrett walking. That can only mean one thing, Logan. Commercial break. And then after that, Outsiders and Jarrett come out, and then all 3 baby faces run down to the ring. Everyone starts fighting. The baby faces clear the ring. Jarrett and Chris Benoit start off. Starts off hot. Chris ducks the clothesline and hits a nice backbreaker. Chris then misses an elbow. Jarrett does this cool thing, which, Logan, you've seen a whole lot more Jeff Jarrett matches than me, where Benoit slings him into the ropes, and Jarrett does like a baseball slide in between his legs to slide under him, and then like to take advantage of him where he Irish whips him there, and then Chris hits a clothesline. We get a tag to Dustin, and Dustin pounds on Jarrett. Jarrett Irish whips Dustin into the ropes, and Kevin hits Dustin in the back of the head. This starts with them trading tags and beating down Dustin. They all 3 of both Outsiders and Jarrett both swap tags to just work over Dustin. Nash is finally one on the receiving end, and he hits a nice short arm clothesline and gets 2. We get a tag to Jarrett. Dustin ducks an elbow drop for an elbow smash to the head from Jarrett, but Jarrett's able to get on a sleeper. Dustin's able to get a side suplex. Both men are down. We get a hot tag to Nash and Sid. Sid starts fighting all 3 off. Dustin and Chris both enter the ring as well. Nash throws Sid over the top rope. Sid hits a double clothesline. Sid's working over Hall, but Nash attacks Sid. Sid then hits Nash with a big boot and goes for a powerbomb. But Logan, we start the night with a guitar breaking. We're going to end the night with a guitar breaking. Jarrett hits Sid in the head with a guitar, and Nash falls on him for the count of 3. The show ends with all the heels raising their arms in victory. So that brings us into basically Nitro Lite. I think this is what we're going to see on these 2-hour Nitros going forward, Logan.
Mm-hmm.
It had a good and a bad. Like, I wish Russo can still do all this shit, but if he allows like matches like to breathe for a little bit and go over 3 minutes, which none of these did, it would be okay. I mean, it's an insult to 2 main eventers with Sting and DDP. That match going like 45 seconds, whatever the fuck Luger and Buff was. I will say one of the negatives, though, is like it was all the main eventers. We did not really see any like of the people we've seen before. There was no like Disco and Lash and Johnny the Bull Maestro. And Big Vito. Yeah, no Maestro, who's been all over the show. None of that. That's sort of some of the stuff. No Norman Smiley as well. Like he'd been all over the shows. None of that. Just the dumb shit with like Rhonda Singh. Like we didn't need to see that. But what's your opinions of the last match and this Thunder overall?
Yeah, the last match wasn't bad. It got the most time of anything on the show, of course, even though it still didn't get just a ton of time at the same time, but some good action. Jarrett uses the guitar, of course. You know, we've had Sid since we started pretty much. He's taken a lot of losses, and I don't particularly love him being the one that gets pinned here. I think Dustin's probably somebody that probably could have taken a pin
Yes.
here, but Sid once again loses. I feel like he's lost any tag match he's been in. Plus, he's lost to Goldberg twice in singles matches, so he doesn't have any momentum going into the match with Nash, and even Nash pins him, so it's not like Hall pinned him or anything like that. It is his opponent at Starrcade pins him. I know it's cheated, they cheated, but like, yeah, I don't love a big dominant force like Sid taking a pin in this situation, especially since he's taken a lot of pinfalls in other tag matches lately, I feel like. So I didn't like that booking decision, but yeah, I mean, they finally, they called themselves out for not using stars on Thunder, and then they did it. But I would like to see, maybe some of those lower card guys get used in like the earlier matches, and then maybe in the last hour or so bring out some stars and like have some good matches. But if you're going to do this and, do all the main talent that you're already seeing on Nitro, and you're doing the same bullshit that you do there, it's not that much different. You might as well just have one show.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Maybe they should have, just because how they were spiraling in the ratings. Maybe they should have just had one show. It would have made everything feel special again, instead of, and like would have stretched out storylines. But I know that would have cost them money. So I don't really know what they do, because using Thunder as like NXT level up wasn't fucking it either.
Yeah.
I know you're like the only one that loves those shows, but actually I might watch that new Evolve show they have.
RIP level
that's
up.
That's a whole nother thing. Yes. Sorry, we're getting way off track here. But no, it's I don't know. We'll have to see if Thunder stays as like an important show, Logan. I don't really remember it being an important show, but also like I was spotty with my wrestling watching during this time, as my parents were worried I was going to start Revolution within Greene County, Greene County, Virginia. So there's that. But so let's just go over what we thought was good tonight. What I thought was good was the Thunder felt important. What I thought was bad was so many.
Yeah, just so many matches, like and no results, pretty much. I think you'll get to it, but I think we didn't have but maybe one or two clean finishes on the whole show. So, just I agree that it felt important, and it felt like they really tried to bring some stars and some star power to the show. But they didn't use it particularly well.
Yeah, and we had a title change tonight, which we hadn't had in a couple of shows, so that's pretty good, and it did happen on Thunder. So before we run down everything, going out of the show, our champs are Bret Hart is the world champion, our U.S. champ is Scott Hall, our tag champs are Bret and Goldberg, cruiserweight champ is Evan Courageous, and our hardcore champ is Norman Smiley. We had 10 matches tonight, Logan. 1 clean finish, 9 non-clean or non-finishes, 0 pole matches. We're still stuck at 3 pole matches total. We had 1 gimmick match tonight. That brings us to 47. We had 2 guitar shots tonight. That brings us to 11. 38 different things happened tonight. We now have 19 different title changes. So just insane.
6 of those are title changes too.
Oh my God, that's disgusting. 6 tag title changes. Oh my God. That's the one he likes to play with. So the most. So God,
no, I think that's insane. In his pants.
Well, yes, also there that as well. But that brings us to another end of episode 17. This is our first episode of 2025. Thank you all for continuing listening to us. We appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. I'm Scott Shiflett. He's Logan Crossland. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Scotty doesn't know that Fiona and me do it in my van every Sunday. She tells him she's in church, but she doesn't go. Still she's on her knees, and Scotty doesn't know